Mr. Monday's Alive. You're listening to the Urban Business Roundtable here on the Talk Chicago 1690 WVON. I'm Curtis R. Monday. I'm the host of the Urban Business Roundtable. Call me at 312-374-8130. That's 312-374-8130. The show is called the Urban Business Roundtable. It's a show dedicated to the creation and growth of the urban entrepreneur and small business owner. The show has three primary goals. Goal number one, to redefine the word urban and to help the urban community leverage their purchasing power. Goal number two, to be a resource for the creation, sustaining, and growth of small businesses and entrepreneurship. And growth. Goal number three, to provide small business owners and entrepreneurs access to capital and opportunity to grow their businesses. You can listen to the Urban Business Roundtable every Saturday here on the Talk Chicago 1690 AM WVON from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and a condensed recap on Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m. and Thursdays at 6:05 p.m. Got a phenomenal show lined up for you today. On today's show, we have Mr. Marcus Yancey. He's economic development and small business lender for Local Initiative Support Corporation of Chicago. Good morning to you, Mr. Yancey. How you doing?
Hey, good morning.
Also, Marcus has a guest with us. I got a great success story, and I want to say good morning to his guest, my guest, Mr. Deon Lucas. Good morning, Deon.
Good morning.
Also, one of my fellow alumni. He's the founder of, and forgive me if I butcher the name, Vintrendi.
That's correct.
All right. He's the founder of Vintrendi Wine Company, Mr. Rick Nesco. What's up, Rick?
Yo, what's up? Good morning. Good morning.
Rick and I was reminiscing about our good old days back in the day at Northern Illinois University. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Rick. Before we get into the proceedings, got to get thanks for thanks to do. I want to say thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I appreciate you, man. God dropped something in my spirit this week. And what he dropped in my spirit was this notion of this idea of quit mourning the loss of something. Stop mourning the loss of something. Instead, learn how to celebrate the gift of goodbye. You know, I know goodbyes are hard. I really, really do struggle with goodbyes myself. But the goodbyes that you have or struggling with goodbyes, often they're going to be accompanied by some kind of pain or fear. But sometimes you got to be able to say goodbye because that chapter in your life is finished. You can't get to the next level without closing that door to the old thing. So stop holding on to that thing and fearing and mourning the loss of something. Instead, celebrate the gift of goodbye. So that's my little tip for you guys today. Hey, I want you guys to follow me on social media. On Facebook, Curtis R. Monday. On Instagram, C Monday. And I need you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, right? We got great content out there. My man, Big Cousin, my family, Big Cuz, Troy Howard, does a phenomenal job with making sure that we have some nice visuals out there. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Call my office, 708-647-1005, the Curtis R. Monday Insurance Agency. Get your financial house in order today. Stop making insurance decisions based on price and price alone. Insurance is one of them things that you buy on price, you definitely will lose on price. Stop listening to non-professionals giving you advice about what you should do and what the next door neighbor did. Again, I hear that so many times. Well, I'm calling because my neighbor said, or a person I work with said my insurance. Come on, don't do that. No, you wouldn't go to the doctor and to your doctor and say, I'm coming to you because my neighbor said that you should be treating me like, no, you wouldn't do that. That's just nonsense. I don't know why you do it with insurance, but stop thinking about your insurance and financial portfolio as an afterthought. Guys, this is a true story. I had a conversation with somebody last week, and we were talking about this topic of life insurance. And they told me that what did they say? We went through a financial needs analysis to determine how much life insurance coverage that they actually needed. They had a pretty big family, 3 or 4 children. The end result was they needed like $1.3 million, right? When we got ready to do the deal, they came back and said, I thought about it, and I want to reduce the coverage to $250K. And I said, why? What's the rationale? And I quote, I don't want to be overinsured. I don't want to have too much insurance. And I'm like, well, did the kids eat? Do they eat less? Between the time we talked and now, did the kids eat less? Are they not going to college anymore? Do we not need money to rent? Like, what change? I've never heard of this notion that there's no such. That's like saying my insurance rates are going to go up because my car is red. Y'all ever heard that? Like, my insurance is going to go up because my car is red. Or my insurance will go down because, hey, I got a garage. That's an urban, there's no correlation. I never heard of that whole thing, my insurance, I'm over it. How can you be overinsured? If you pass away, this money goes to a loved one. kids, a family member, a spouse. What would happen if you pass away and I get a check to your loved one for $250K, and I say, well, here's your check for $250K. God bless you. Hey, you were supposed to get 1.3, but they came back and told me that they didn't want too much insurance. Go have a night. Like they'll be mourning you and cussing you out all the same. You know what I mean? Stuff just don't make no sense, man. So hey, stop doing that. Hey, before I get into my guest, I want to say good morning to my dynamic duo, Mighty Titus. What's up?
Good morning, Curtis. How are you?
And Sonya Levon. What's to it?
What's happening?
Man, double trouble, man. So,
Absolutely.
okay, we all at work today, right? Yeah, we tuned in, we locked in. We sure? All right. I got a busy day today. You know, I'm hanging out with my guests today on UBR, and then we got the new show starting today. Yeah, new radio show. The Monday takeover on the Saturday. We got the new radio show. He Flips at 11 a.m. to noon. It's a real estate-centric show with my co-host, E.J. Williams. We're going to talk about everything about real estate investing, first-time home buyers, but this real estate topic is really important. It's one way to help people transfer wealth from generation to generation, and so I'm eager and excited about the opportunity, so tune in today. He Flips debuts at 11 a.m. Damon Dash. Do you guys know who Damon Dash is?
Sure.
Okay, so for those who may be under the rock, no pun intended, rock, no pun intended. For those who may not be familiar with Damon Dash, he's the founder, co-founder of Rockefeller Records and a producer, and hell of an entrepreneur, hell of an entrepreneur. And just recently in the news said that, as reported by TMZ, that he's broke and needs help. According to this article by TMZ, a revelation came out the legal docs against Dash saying that he owes $2,400 and he can't pay that money. He says that his income comes from his businesses and currently he's making no profits. It was a famous video footage last year with Lee Daniels, the movie director, and Damon Dash confronting him at an event, asking for $2 million in bread. And, according to this report, Lee Daniels is actually paying him the money. He's actually, paying them, but because he's so in debt to different creditors, right, it's coming in but going right back out. So I hope this story, TMZ is credible. I hope this story's not true. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. However, though, Dame, I really respect Dame Dash. He's over the top, but I respect Dame Dash hustle. Go ahead, Marcus.
I get it, but is this? I'm just wondering. I'm curious if this is a cry for help. What is he gonna do with the money? What does broke mean?
Broke is relative, right? To us, to some, it could be literally you can't, keep the lights on. To him, he may not be able to get a new Ferrari or something.
Right. So that's what I question.
But they say $2,400. He can't pay $2,400. That's broke. that's good times broke. That's
right.
Florida and James Evans broke. That's not rich people broke. That's struggling.
Yeah.
But that breaks my heart, guys, because if you know Dame and his history with him and Jay, they were instrumental with a lot of basic principles when it comes to entrepreneurship. Multiple streams of income, right? They started out in hip hop and music, transitioned to clothing, right? I don't know if you guys remember this, but Armadale vodka.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Before before it was Ciroc and and stuff like that. It was Armadale.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So, Rick, I hope it's not true. I hope that's not true.
My question is, he personally broke or are the funds still in his company?
You're right.
Article didn't go into detail, but it sounds like he broke, like Bookman broke, like Bookman broke, like broke. And again, I hope it's not. And I remember Dame, lavish lifestyle, different things, the movies. What's the movie? The little hood movies. I used to love them. I love any hood movie. Not paid. He was actually paid in full.
Yeah.
He pulled up on my man and paid in full. So I hope it's not true, but. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get involved in our creativity and the money's coming in. You got to be disciplined to make sure you put the necessary things in to, make sure everything is okay. So I hope that's not true, and we're going to pray for him. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got some more Urban Business Roundtable, getting some conversation with my guests. Also, we have the Patient Investor Report from Ariel coming up soon. Be right back. Welcome back to the Urban Business Roundtable with your host, Curtis Armandi. I don't care what y'all say. That new yay. That new yay. Woo! If you don't believe in God before, hey, that one right there that's gonna make, you're gonna put something in the offering. Man, that new yay, boy. Woo! Hey, we having a great time, man. You know, it's the men in the studio today. I want to say good morning to my first guest, Mr. Marcus Yancey, Economic Development and Small Business Lender for Local Initiative Support Corporation. Good morning, Marcus.
Hey, good morning.
Got his other guest. He's a licensed architect, currently serves as Director of Design for Beehive and is a co-founder of E.G. Woods. Want to say good morning to Deon Lucas.
Good morning.
And my fellow alumni from Northern Illinois. He's the founder of Vintrendi Wine Company. Good morning, Rick. How you doing?
I'm well.
All right. Before we get into the conversation, we have the Patient Investor Report with my man Qua. What's going on, Qua?
Hey, Curtis. So today's number to know is 70 and a half. According to the IRS, if you're age 70 and a half, you might need to take what's called a required minimum distribution. This is also known by its initials, RMD. Now, once you turn 70 and a half, the IRS requires you to start taking an RMD from traditional IRAs, simple IRAs, and SEP IRAs. Likewise, if you have a 401k and you're no longer working, this applies to you too. Now, there can be some exceptions. If you have a Roth IRA, you don't have to take the required minimum distribution. Similarly, if you have a 401k and you're still working, you generally don't have to take an RMD until you retire. Now, there are special circumstances where you might still have to take a required minimum distribution even though you have not turned 70 and a half. For instance, if you've inherited an IRA from someone else, it doesn't matter if it's a Roth or a traditional IRA. If you've inherited an IRA, you might have to take an RMD even though you haven't turned 70 and a half. And the penalty can be steep if you don't take the RMD. If you fail to take the required minimum distribution, you might face a 50% penalty. So don't procrastinate. The deadline for taking most RMDs is December 31st. As you can see, the rules can be confusing. If you're unsure whether or not an RMD affects you, it's best to check with the investment firm that holds your retirement accounts. The key is to stay on top of this every year so you avoid paying penalties. For more tips, visit arialinvestments.com. And remember, slow and steady wins the race.
Thanks, Qua. Let me, great information. Let me interpret that for my listening audience. That is called RMDs, required minimum distribution, is a now I'm not going to say a rich person's problem, but it's a person that got some bread problem. Because the truth of what it is in English, the IRS is saying we need to get our portion of the money because the money has been sitting there growing income tax deferred, et cetera, and we need to get a portion of it, right? The majority of people, when they can, as soon as we can touch the money at age 59 and a half, we going to get that money, right? Right? Like, it's like, think about it logically. I'm retired, right? What this is saying is that when you retire, you haven't touched any of this money until age 70 and a half. The average person can't wait 11, 12 years or so to not access any of that money. Therefore, being forced or required to take some money out is not a problem with most average individuals. This is why we do UBR, the hope that I can get you to not being average. But from that perspective, that's a good problem to have, that you got to start. And I had a client like that. He, the millionaire next door, $3.4 million he had just sitting in his account, and he got to a point where he was forced to take out $70,000 a year or something. Damn, man, what am I going to do with it Monday? I can help you figure that out. Let's get to the proceedings, shall we? My first guest, he's an economic development and small business lender for Local Initiative Support Corporation of Chicago. LISC's goal is to create socially and economically vibrant and sustainable neighborhoods with living wage jobs, local businesses, good schools, quality housing, and needed amenities. My guest assists with the LISC's Entrepreneurs of Color Fund by providing a mix of capital, free technical assistance, and business coaching services. This EOC fund focuses on 15 communities on the south and west sides of Chicago, which are marked by historically low levels of small business creation. I want to say good morning to my guest, Mr. Marcus Yancey. Good morning, Marcus.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Curtis.
All right, Marcus, for those individuals who may not know a lot about your organization, tell us about the organization, how you began working with the organization.
So LISC is the nation's largest nonprofit economic development organization. We cover about 38 markets throughout the country. Here in Chicago, we specifically focus on low to moderate income areas. So trying to revitalize retail corridors, making sure that we have good schools, creating quality life plans to be able to guide certain communities towards a successful development. So we also have the small business lending arm, which I kind of really focus on, and that's just really trying to support the small businesses that are on the south and west side of Chicago. We believe in having real estate. You know, you're invested in the community when you actually own real estate. You have a say in what goes on in the community. You get to determine who gets hired and what the living situation is like, you know, providing rental properties and businesses. So that's really where our strong area is trying to support those particular corridors.
What drew you to the organization? How did you become involved with it?
Man, so I actually know the director of small business and economic development lending for LISC. His name is Steve Hall. So I've been in economic development for about the last 4 years. I recently worked at the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity as a deputy director. And it's always been a passion of mine to really support these types of communities, and LISC just provided a great opportunity for me. There was no way I could turn it down with the relationships they have with the city of Chicago and other grassroots organizations to try to help develop these communities. It's amazing. So I just couldn't pass up that opportunity.
When we do at 11, when we do C flips, he flips, that term flipping is a term that's thrown out there. We'll break that down. Economic development. It's a term that we always hear, right? Mm-hmm. And it has a very positive connotation. You think good things, economic development. What does that mean, Marcus?
So economic development just really focuses on how a community looks. So what is the workforce looking like? What is the what's the education looking like in the community? Economic development is really the small business. You know, what does that ecosystem look like? So it's just all these different components that help communities be sustainable.
Sure. Local Initiative Support Corporation is described as a national organization with grassroots ties. In simple terms, I want you to describe the work that your organization does.
So, like I said, we try to help out communities through quality of life plans. So that's one of our biggest keys, is going to the communities, finding who are the lead organizations, help them get together and help them develop a plan that they could push forward to better their community. Also, the small business lending side, economic development lending, is really important. It's critical. Access to capital is just one of the largest hurdles that we have in our communities. We provide flexible lending terms. So, normally, if you got a 600 credit score, banks will turn you down instantly.
Right.
But we're more concerned about project impact. So what is the project that you're doing? Are you creating jobs? Are you, are you helping build a community? Like, those are the things that we care about. So if I were to say what LISC is, we're a project impact-based organization.
Okay. So does that mean that when an entrepreneur comes to you, you're not, like, again, you said access to capital. A lot of times banks are going to look at what's your credit score, what's your gross revenue, how long you've been in business, things of that nature. Do you guys not take that in consideration, or is it more or less the end result, like you said, the impact
Yeah, no, we take that in consideration. I mean, we're still a lender. We got to get repaid, right?
Sure.
So we want to make sure that the businesses that we work with, that they have the experience and they have the capabilities of repaying that loan. So we're going to look at credit. We're going to look at cash flow of the business. But it is weighted on what the project is. There's a lot of people out there that may not have great credit. Their financials may not be the best, but we'll take the time to get to know and understand and help build them so they have the abilities to be able to lend. So, I mean, there's projects that I've worked on for 6 months, 9 months before, people get actually financed. We help them along the way so that they can push their project or initiative forward.
Help them meaning that if they don't have the ducks in a row when they first come to you,
us, yes.
You can work. Okay, so it's not just get out of here. It's, no, not right now, but we can work towards.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
your financials, you're not cash flowing, let's get you in contact with a CPA.
Good.
You know, so we'll get you connected with a CPA. You're working on a project and, you know, you have a 20,000 square foot building and you need to get an architect. Hey, here's an architect. Here's somebody, you know, that can help support you and guide you along the way to get you where you need to be.
Gotcha. So you got these different, you got two different things or entities. You got government, corporations, and maybe for-profit organizations. And then you have individual stakeholders and communities, people who are boots to the ground, local initiatives, and you guys in the middle to kind of bridge
the gap.
You guys kind of bridge the gap.
Absolutely.
How do you guys identify like the local stakeholders and how they need to look in order for them to gain the necessary support they need to take their businesses to the next level? How do you identify those people?
So what we do is, like I said, we're grassroots, boots on the ground. So we get out there and we find these organizations. We go to the local chambers of commerces, to the community development corporations, and have conversations, and we find out what's going on in these communities.
Gotcha. I want to bring in our guest, our guest, Mr. Deon Lucas. He's a licensed architect that currently serves as the director of design for Beehive and is a co-founder of E.G. Wood. Good morning to you, Deon.
Good morning, Curtis. What's up, brother?
All right. Now, if I got this right, and then this is a good segue, there's something called the Entrepreneur Color Fund, right?
Yes.
Did I say it right?
That's correct.
Describe what that is, and I want to hear Deon's story about how this impacted him.
So the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund was launched about 2 years ago. It finally came to the Chicago market. So it's done by J.P. Morgan Chase. So they initially gave a couple $1 million to help provide technical assistance, lending capital, and credit enhancements to support businesses on the south and west side of Chicago. Since then, we've raised about another $8 million to be able to lend to these communities to be able to support these small businesses. So in a particular situation where somebody may not have a 20% down payment, we can use some of these funds to be able to support that upfront cost, of that 20%. So if it's a $100,000 loan, just for instance, and you don't have $20,000 readily in the bank to be able to put down towards the loan, we can use that we can use a credit enhancement to support some of that $20,000. So what we're doing is trying to mitigate the risk that may be involved. So we're just really appreciative of J.P. Morgan Chase for continuing to, push this forward and help revitalize these communities on the south and west side through small business.
Deon, how did you become acquainted with the organization? How did describe that journey in respect to your business and you guys working together?
So back in 2013, I graduated business school from U of I in Urbana, and I came back to Chicago seeking to volunteer, like contribute to communities that, bred me, but weren't necessarily receiving the benefits of what I was providing in New York or other communities. And then I kind of planted my flag in Inglewood. And over the years, I had gotten to know a few counterparts at LISC who were involved in a lot of the economic development circles and strategies that were happening in Inglewood. And one day, when we received some grants from the city, which were reimbursable, which meaning we had to come up with funds first, LISC stepped in and said that they would be the institution or the organization that would help move us forward.
Wow.
So they would bridge the gap between the access to the grants and the funds that we needed to actually bring that project or those projects to life.
Sure. And describe to us how that assistance has helped your business and where you guys are going with your corporation.
It's helped tremendously because we are essentially a startup of startups. And if anybody knows anything about startups when it comes to financing, 99% don't get funding unless they're getting it from a private institution, VCs, or family and friends.
Yeah.
And while we had family and friends and individuals that were willing to contribute, it wasn't enough capital to sustain us for the duration of the project.
Yeah.
And so when LISC and the EOC fund in conjunction with, JP Morgan and a few other institutions kind of contributed to that fund, it allowed us to bring E.G. Wood to fruition. I mean, that was something that had they not stepped in to provide that capital, despite my experiences as an architect or my team's experiences in management and strategy, because we are a startup, we don't have records. We don't have accounting. We have nothing to prove to you that our business model
doing it,
is going to work. All we have is, an idea, a strategy and some people that are willing to put in some work to make it happen.
Yeah.
And LISC took that huge risk by, investing in us and giving us the opportunity to say, hey, we can get this done.
That's like the hugest hypocrisy in business. Every business had to start from some, like no business just, unless you gifted with generational wealth, like every business has to start with an idea.
Exactly.
Right? So to make it a prerequisite to show me what you can do before, like, come on, man, that's hypocrisy. It is.
I give you some truth. So it took us 10 months, right? So it wasn't we're going to fund you, and 3 weeks later that was the money on the table.
Right.
It took 10 months of very exhausting, hard negotiations and a lot of pushback on both sides, right? Some things and concessions that LISC wanted us to make, and concessions that we needed them to make on our behalf, right? Because we're trying something that's not tested, you haven't seen it before, and we want to make sure that it works the way that we intended. And they really came through. I mean, at the end, they were like, okay, we'll take that risk, we'll go that extra mile, and we'll do it the way that you guys envision it.
Sure. Rick Nesco, access to capital. I got to imagine when you got ready to start Vintrendi Wine Company, that was a big topic too.
It really was. We originally started out with a micro lender and took out a very micro loan. However, I think we were able to use our capital really effectively because of my years of experience in the business. Even though it was a tiny loan, we started very small, and I think that's a big determining factor on whether or not a business will be successful is in how far or how big you start the business.
Right.
So we started on a skeleton crew, very lean, and made the best out of the few funds that we had.
Sure. Deon, tell us what's next for your business, how things going now.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, E.G. Wood, which is actually short for Inglewood, but not exclusively limited to the Inglewood community. We are close to wrapping up our first project. We hope to have our grand opening around March of 2020. And then we have like 4 more projects already on the table, some new construction, a lot of existing. And what I love about just our business model in itself is we are sort of like a LISC, but specifically targeting entrepreneurs and brick and mortar, right? So we're not just looking at the training aspects of how we're going to educate you or bring in a consultant or bring in an accountant. We want to bring in those people and have them on staff, and then we're focused on the next level. Okay, after you've had that training, where are we going to put your location? How is it going to be designed? Because I'm an architect, so I put that part in there for my own selfish reasons. And then what is going to be the field or the experience, and where are you going to be? Most of our entrepreneurs are of the community in which they are establishing themselves. Right. So we're not looking for transplants or franchises or individuals who are seeking to be placed in an area in which they have no roots, right? This is a very, like you spoke about LISC being grassroots, this is absolutely grassroots. Our owners are the members of the organization.
Sure.
The people who operate the businesses are members of the organization.
Great work. Marcus, quick question for you. For businesses to be able to get support geographically, do they have to be located in the city? Do you work with people like in the south suburbs? It's like Rick's business out in Park Forest.
Correct.
So do you...
Not necessarily. We try to make the connection. So we partner with a lot of other lenders as well, like Axion, for instance. They're more so of a community lender for Chicago and the outlying area. Our particular focus is the actual city of Chicago.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are some situations where, we may do a deal that's right outside the city limits, but for the most part, we focus on the Chicago area.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Axion, that was our first micro loan. They are a company that is willing to look a little bit further than just the numbers on the paper as far as providing some capital for startup businesses.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's keep it rolling. Rick Nesco, founder and CEO of Vintrendi, thank you for being my guest today, fellow alumni of Northern Illinois University. For those who may not know about you and your story, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I've been in the wine and spirits distribution industry for 21 years now. And over the years, I worked for large and small distributors, building brands for a lot of different companies, wineries, distilleries, breweries, getting them into retail stores and helping move the product past the past the register, marketing, salesmanship, those types of things. Over the years, there's been a lot of consolidation in the business. Brands might be distributed by your company at some point, and another distributor may come along and actually woo those brands away from your company, and it creates a lot of volatility in the business. And I saw a way of stabilizing my income and my career by actually going out and starting my own distribution company after so many years in the business. I felt that we could do it better and protect our brands and prevent them from leaving our distribution company. In doing that, we started by having brands made for us specifically as an added layer of protection. A brand that that was licensed by us couldn't pick up and go to another distributor if we were distributing it. So as a means of protection, that was working out for a while. But even some of the brands that we distributed for other manufacturers were wooed away, just like any other company.
Right.
So it became apparent over the years that the way to be completely protected is to design and build our entire line of wines ourselves. Like I said, we did have brands private labeled for us at one point. But, in that, you don't get a lot of creative control.
Right.
I could tell someone exactly what I want.
But they're going to do it their way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and, I found that, over the years I learned so much that it might be prudent to actually make our own wine from start to finish. And so we started off, like I said, with a microloan from, it was Axion, as a matter of fact. And in a 400 square foot space in downtown Park Forest. I mean, it was lean, but I didn't look at the square footage. I looked at more or less the cubic footage. I mean, if you went there, the place, everything was stacked high. And we just made the best use out of the height of the space.
Of the vertical space,
We had a tiny tasting room. It worked out well for about 2 years. And we just recently expanded from a 400 square foot location to a 2,800 square foot location, all within 2 years.
Okay.
And things have been going great. Now we have the capability to have on-site tastings, flights. You come in for a small bite to eat, just like any other winery.
Right.
It's just that it's still considered a micro winery in terms of production.
What piqued your interest? You could have done a lot of different things coming out of Northern Illinois in respect to what you want to do professionally. What piqued your interest in respect to the liquor wine industry?
Well, coming out of school, I ended up with a job that wasn't my first choice. And, I found out about the liquor industry. My mother had actually, she was working at a company, and she said that liquor reps would come in all the time. They'd pitch their brands, and she said that, they all seem to be doing really well. You should apply at a liquor company. And I was totally against it at first. I was like, I don't want to be a salesperson at all. I made an application for the job, originally turned down, and the position came open again. And I went for the interview. And when I saw, how the inner workings of the place was, it looked really fun. I mean, selling alcohol, how bad can it be? And it was actually, the oddest thing. It was housed in the old Campbell Soup building on 35th Street. From outside, you wouldn't even know it. It was a rundown looking building, but when you went inside, it was like a complete nightclub. It was crazy. Okay. And that and being like 23 years old, a
logical choice.
I was sold. Really, it just seemed great. But I didn't come from a background of wine at all. But I got exposed to it, and it just clicked. Wine. We were selling other products too, but the wine, for some reason, just had an added air of, I don't even want to say sophistication, but it was a specific style of drinker, and it just drew me to it.
You mentioned sophistication, so Rick, you're talking to a cognac drinker, right?
Okay.
I'm from the south side of Chicago, and so wine wasn't part of our normal repertoire.
Sure.
Cognac. My daddy drank cognac, and so therefore, by default, I drink cognac.
I get it.
So I need you to educate me. Proper temperature for drinking red wine, cold or room temperature?
Room temperature.
Proper temperature for drinking white wine, room temperature or cold?
Well, not cold, chilled.
Chilled.
Yeah,
okay.
you really don't want it too cold because it'll actually take away from some of the nuances of the wine. You don't want it ice cold, technically, in traditional terms. Now, as it goes in the industry, is really what the consumer likes. But when you look at the wine snobs or whatever have you, they say it should just be chilled at about 44 degrees.
Okay. When preparing a meal, Rick, and I have my meat selection.
Mm-hmm.
What type of meat should go with a red wine?
I'll keep it really simple, and it really is. Red wine goes with red meat for the most part.
Okay.
Now, as far as white wine goes, that's a little bit. Generally, white wine goes with white meat.
Okay.
However, like let's say if you're having something like blackened catfish or something like that,
sure,
you might want something like Pinot Noir or maybe even a rosé, something to pick up the different, from the charredness of the fish, to pick up that taste.
Sure.
So it can still be a white meat, but sometimes it's how it's prepared.
Okay.
And that'll help bring out the different flavors in the meats.
So you mentioned wine snobs. You guys have seen the movies or the commercials when the person has the glass of wine and they're shaking it in the circle of basket and they're shaking it. Rick, what the hell are they shaking for? Hennessy, I don't shake. I just throw it back. Like, what do they shake? What are they shaking for?
Well, actually, even with cognacs, which coincidentally are actually made from wine.
Okay.
There are nuances that you can pick up. Part of the tasting process has something to do with nosing the wine, swirling it around in a glass to open up the wine, to bring out different, smells for that matter. Because part of your taste is your olfactory glands in your nasal cavity.
Okay.
So part of the taste comes from that, and you can pick up different taste, like in the back of your nasal passage, from the wine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So legs, I've heard this term legs. They're swirling around the glass.
Sure.
To me, it looks like little streaks. But they say legs. What the hell does that mean, Rick?
Well, basically, that's the ratio of, I believe, it's sugar to the liquid that actually makes it drip down. And they say long legs makes for a better wine. Not necessarily, when I say sugar, I don't necessarily mean sweet, but the actual sugar content, which is like the brie of the wine, that's industry term. But that gives it some kind of viscosity that makes it drip down the side of the glass. And although it's more or less a commercialized marketing thing, because in the reality of the wine industry, they say it really does not matter. But it's something that sommeliers and different industry experts over the years have said that was the hallmark of a great wine, and it's not necessarily the case at all.
Rick, what was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome with starting your business?
Oh my God. I've been in the business a long time, and I'm well versed in it, but it's still things that I don't know. I mean, so many nuances, and I was the guy in the back of the meeting room taking notes constantly, not just on the wines, but actually operations of the company. But some of the biggest difficulties I've had has been staying compliant. There are many laws to the wine industry that people don't know of, and you have to stay on top of it. Between that and gaining financing for an industry that in certain areas, or certain circles is new, because, my industry, I'm the first person like myself that's producing a wine and going and let's just say approaching a municipality about opening a winery in their town. You have to actually school that industry, school that entity about your business. And, that's just an added level of difficulty as far as actually bringing your business to fruition, as opposed to, let's say, a car wash or something that everyone has dealt with in the past.
Right.
So, there's a lot of education for myself and educating others as far as how my business will operate in order to produce my product in a certain area or introduce it to a certain demographic.
Right. If you had to give one individual, give one tip to someone who's listening to this conversation that's interested in starting their own wine company, what would that one tip be?
Research.
Okay.
And that's especially if you're not from the industry, it's a lot of research you need to do in order to stay compliant, and in order. Really, that's it. Research, to be honest with you, and don't take no for an answer.
I got you.
Yeah.
Now, Rick, let's follow the example. We had a guy who was a barbecue fanatic. He came on the show. He brought barbecue. We had a lady come on the show. She dealt with like hand creams and wellness products. She bought hand cream and wellness products. We had Rick on the show. Rick deals with wine. What are we missing here, Rick?
We're missing wine.
Missing the wine.
We're missing the wine.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Don't get me started. I'll go out to the trunk.
No, we're going to stay in good contact.
Yeah.
Like seriously, what I like to do with all the guests on the Urban Business Roundtable, this is just a entree into formalizing long-lasting relationships.
For sure.
I'll try to find strategically ways that we can use the show to support you guys' platform. So I open and welcome continue open dialogue between all of us to figure out where the synergies lie, figuring out how we can support your business. I'm a good hype man, Rick, so let's get me on with some wine on my IG. And
we'll take care of you.
Yeah, we can do what's up. Rick, for those who want to support your business, where can they find you?
We're in downtown Park Forest, located at 339 Main Street, right on the Power Street in Park Forest. Much better location. We can be found on the internet at Vintrendywines.com. And we could also be reached at 708-433-9463. And if you're on social media, we're on Facebook and Instagram at Vintrendi Wines.
Can your place be rented out for private events?
Sure can.
Okay,
yeah,
so keep that in mind. Mr. Deon Lucas, tell us about what can your business, people who are interested in supporting your business, give us your information.
Sure, they can reach us on any social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at EG Wood. That's EGWOODE. Or visit our website, send us a message, www.egwood.com. That's EGWOODE.com. Or they can give me a call on my cell phone. That's 773-954-1416. We will be recruiting for new entrepreneurs in the springtime, so if there are individuals out there who are looking to start their business and open up a brick-and-mortar space in one of the communities that we serve, which is like North Lawndale, Inglewood, South Shore, East Garfield Park, etc., give us a call. We'll have an application available probably in the late spring.
Sure. Mr. Marcus Yancey, for those individuals who are interested in learning more about LISC, maybe getting support from the organization, where can they find you?
So our offices are located at 10 South Riverside. We're on the 17th floor. Also, they can go to LISC.org, LISC.org, or send me a quick email, myancey@lisc.org. I'll also be at the Treasurer's office is having a event today. We having access to Capital Panel that'll be moderated by a good friend, Vince Williams. So if you want to learn more about LISC and what we do, please come find us there today at UIC. We'll be down at the, I think it was called the Forum. At 1 p.m. we'll have that panel. So Go check us out.
Great information as always. It's been a great show lined up for you. A great show today. I want to say good morning to, again, all my followers on social media. Can't get through all you guys. Miranda, good morning as also always. Daryl Dormer, appreciate you. Joseph Nealon, Helen Mitchell, thank you. Renee Collins, EJ Williams, you're supposed to be here at the station. You got 11 o'clock show. EJ, come on in. Mabel Benton, we appreciate you. And also Sid, thank you. Great show, as always, here on the Urban Business Roundtable. We got to get out of here. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back at 11 a.m. for She Flips, He Flips with my co-host, E.J. Williams. I thank you for this opportunity, as always. I don't do this for my first name. I do this for my last name. Chance Jordan, Daddy loves you. God bless.